Good day everybody, today I'm going to be showing you how to play the board game Monopoly Cityville. Now the object of this game is you're going to try to become the first person to build 4 skyscrapers. And the way you're going to be building these skyscrapers is by buying these individual buildings over here and then building this last. This is the skyscraper. This building is the community building, then you have the house, then you have the business building. And I'll talk about these buildings here in just a little bit. Right here you've got your playing pieces. I'll go ahead and show them to you really quick. We have a pigeon, we have a double-decker bus, right here we have a boat, I think, and then right here we have the airplane, and you're going to select one of these tokens and place it here on the go space. Right here we've got 2 different types of cards. You've got the visitor center cards, which work as the chance and community chest cards, and then you also have the mystery gifts, which are pretty cool, and I'll talk about those later. And right here are all of the title deeds and then your money. Now in the very beginning everybody is going to be receiving 3 of each type of bill, and you got $500 bills, $100 bills, $50 bills, all the way down to the $1 bill. Everybody's going to be receiving 3 of each of these bills. We'll go ahead and talk about some of the spaces. Right here is go. Anytime you land on or pass this, you're going to go ahead and collect $200 in salary. You have a whole bunch of these properties over here, and they are part of a color group, as you can see. And anytime you own an entire color group like these 3, that will constitute a monopoly. There's a couple of spaces where you're going to be paying fees. There's a zoning permit fee space over here, and then there is the mint over here. Now we also have the bridge and we have the dam over there. Now those are going to replace the utilities, and what those are going to do is that they're going to decrease the cost of purchasing one of the buildings or the skyscraper. Here's the dam, for example. If you own this, you're going to save $25 anytime you're purchasing buildings. However, if you have that and you also have the bridge, this is going to save you money on buying the skyscrapers. Now the skyscrapers are pretty expensive. They cost about $400 to build. Here's free parking. If you land on that, nothing is going to happen. The go to jail space over there, if you land on that, you're going to go over here to go to jail. There's a few ways you can get out. You can pay $50 to the bank and get out of jail that way. You can roll doubles in 3 turns, and if you're able to do that, you'll get out of jail for free. And if you have a get out of jail free card, which you'll get from the visitor center, you can play that and then get out of jail that way. Now, in the game, you're going to go ahead and roll the dice, and you're simply going to move that amount of spaces. If you roll doubles, you're going to get to go again, but you got to be careful not to roll 3 doubles in a row, because if you do, you're going to go ahead and go to jail. And you can also go to jail if you draw a card from the visitor center that tells you to do that. So let's just say I rolled, and let's just say I landed over here on the coffee shop. Now, if nobody owns the coffee shop, this is going to give you an opportunity to purchase it. And if you wanted to purchase it, you would just simply pay $100 to the bank, and then you will go ahead and receive this deed. Now, you're going to note that it says rent $6. If somebody ends up landing on this property, they're going to end up paying you the amount in rent, which in this case is going to be $6. Now, you will be able to build a house on this, even if you do not own all of the properties in the color group. However, you're only going to be able to build one of them, and you will again be able to choose between these 3 different buildings to start with. However, if you own all of the properties in the color group, this is going to allow you to purchase more buildings all the way up to the skyscraper. And what you'll simply do is whenever it is your turn before you roll the die, you will go ahead and pay the building cost, and you will go ahead and buy whatever buildings you want. With the exception of the skyscraper, you have to buy that last. So if you wanted to buy, say, 2 of these buildings, you would pay $100, and then you would choose between these 3. Now, once you start placing buildings on your property, that is going to increase the rent. So if somebody lands on that property and you have buildings on there, you'll just simply look at the card, see how many buildings you have on there, and then charge them that amount. Now, when it comes to the train stations, they work a little bit differently. You're not going to be able to build anything on there, but depending on how many of these that you own, you're going to get a certain amount of rent. So if you own one of the train stations, you get $25. If you own 2, you get $50, etc. And all the train stations are right here in the middle of each section of the board. Now, the only difference between these buildings, whenever you draw the visitor center cards, depending on what you draw, this could either give you a reward or a penalty depending on the building. So here's a perfect example. Let's say you have this card. It says receive $25 per blue building, which is the business from the bank. If you own no businesses, receive nothing. Here's an example. This one says pay $175 if you own 2 or more businesses. So the main thing with these buildings is you're going to get either a reward or a penalty depending on what you draw here on the visitor center card. They're worth the exact same amount, and you can build these in any order. And the way you're going to do it is you're just simply going to stack these buildings on top of one another like so, and then you'll note that there's a little spot here that there's an arrow pointing to on all of the different color groups, and you'll just simply put the buildings there like so. Now, there isn't a building rule on this game. You don't have to build one here, one here, one here. You can build however you would like to, but ultimately what you're trying to do is you're trying to end up, you're going to be trying to get all 4 of the buildings like that. Now, whenever it comes to purchasing the Skyscraper, the very last building, it is going to end up costing you $400 plus the 3 buildings. You already have had that paid off, but it's going to cost $400 to build the skyscrapers. Now, throughout the game, you're going to be able to trade and make deals at the start of your turn before you roll the die. If you want to try to trade people property in order to try to make a monopoly, sell them things, you can banter back and forth as far as how you want to do that. Now, there is an interesting rule. If you end up having to pay the bank a fee of some kind by, like, say, you land on the mint, or you have to pay to get out of jail, or there's a card that you draw, this is going to allow you to purchase an unowned property. So if I ended up having to pay a fee for something and say the video game store was unowned, I could go ahead and purchase it if I had the money to do that. So let's talk about the mystery gift cards. These cards are what I call decor cards, and what you'll see here is you'll see it'll have some kind of a decoration over here with a dollar amount on here, and they're double-sided, and you've got another one over here. What these are going to do is that they are going to increase the value of one of your properties. Anytime you land on the mystery gift space over here, you're going to pick up a mystery gift card and give it to a player of your choice, and then you're going to go ahead and take one for yourself. So let's just say I happen to own the pool hall, and I receive this. It has a fire hydrant and a shade tree. So I'll be able to pick one of these, and then put the card under it like so, or like so if I wanted to do that. And in this case, it's going to increase the rent by $1. So in this case, if I didn't have any buildings on there, this would be worth $15. Now, there are different mystery gift cards, and there are some that are worth more. For example, the graffiti park and the gazebo here are both worth $18. So that's going to increase the rent by $18. And there's no limit as to how many of these you can put on your property. You can put as many as you want, as long as you can get them, or spread them out however you would like to. Now, if it turns out you need to raise cash because you can't pay somebody the rent, you don't have enough money, there's a couple of things you can do. You can sell up to 2 of your properties for $50 less than what the value is. So, for example, if you wanted to sell the pool hall, you would just simply take the value here, which is $180, subtract it by 50, and that would make it $130. And then you would go ahead and put that back to the bank and get the money for yourself. So that's one way you can do it. Now, any houses and any decorations that are on the property are going to stay there. So if somebody were to land on the pool hall, it wasn't owned, but it had 3 houses on there, that person would be able to buy the pool hall for the price that is listed on the board. Now, if it turns out you end up going bankrupt, you're going to give the player that made you go bankrupt everything that you have. And if it turns out that the bank, you end up going bankrupt because of a fee that you have to pay the bank, you're just simply going to give everything that you have to the bank, and that is going to put you out of the game. But what you're going to be doing is everyone's going to be going back and forth, and you're going to be buying these buildings and ultimately trying to build the skyscraper. And the winner of the game is going to be the first person that builds 4 skyscrapers. And that, folks, is Monopoly Cityville. We have a double-decker bus.